What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction and welcome to the final legendary skin for season 1 2023. So here we are with the Dingo Scarlet Oracle. So yes, this is the last legendary that's going to be released, and it's kind of weird because typically whenever there's a new weapon that comes out, you probably would get the legendary slash mythic within probably like midway through the season, but this time around I guess they decided to make this one the very last. And believe it or not, I know the Dingo isn't really a favorable LMG to use right now, given that it has, piss poor range. But the legendary more than makes up for its faults. And I'll say this because obviously in season 2, we're getting a massive range buff for the Dingo. So it's going to be a lot more reliable to use. So I think it's important that if any of you guys are really interested in using this weapon, you guys can obviously buy the legendary skin right now and then enjoy it once season 2 begins. Or at least when the update comes out. So now let's talk about the Scarlet Oracle, starting with the Iron Sight. So I know the Iron Sight really doesn't make too much of a difference compared to the original weapon. The only difference is that it's a spike rather than like a 3-pronged spear type of Iron Sight. It wouldn't really make a difference, obviously, because they're very similar to one another. So even if you didn't buy the legendary skin, I mean, you're not really missing much. And I would say this is more favorable than the epic skin that we got for tier 50. And that does typically happen. I mean, there are some legendaries out there for certain guns that don't really change too much of the Iron Sight. A good example of this would probably be, I guess, the LK24 Justicar or something like that. Like, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. In the case of the Dingo Scarlet Oracle, it's a little bit different this time around because it's more cosmetic focused than it is when it comes to like some sort of competitive edge thing. It doesn't really like do much for you in terms of Iron Sights, but in terms of aesthetics, the graphics and everything, the structure, the effects, I think that's where this weapon shines the most. And believe it or not, this is not actually a reactive skin. It actually ends at 3,900 con points, for the most basic legendary skins, but out of all of them, I would say this is probably one of the best ones that we've received so far in terms of effects. And again, I'm specifically talking about legendary skins that typically end with 3,900 COD points. Those are the ones that only react when you get a kill. They typically don't have like the best of effects, but when it comes to this one, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You see squares coming out through like the exhausts on the back of the Iron Sight, and it's an ongoing effect. It never stops. The exhaust in the back where all the squares are coming from, it does flare up whenever you do get a kill, but other than that, it's normal. It does have a unique muzzle flash as well. It's very electric based. Of course, obviously, I think this is kind of like more of a futuristic type of legendary skin. And even when it comes to the gun, it's in the shape of somewhat, I guess, some jet or like a rocket ship. I'm not even sure. It could be anything really. Shooting sounds are also a little bit different. Nothing really that crazy, but it is, much more noticeable than the original weapon. But obviously, one of the biggest flaws for the weapon is just the lack of creativity, at least when it comes to the death effect. And I say that because the crossbow literally has the exact same death effect as this one does. The only difference is that the rectangle cube thing is blue instead of red. I would have liked a different type of death effect, but I mean, if that's going to be the case, I mean, it still looks aesthetically pleasing. And for the most part, I never really use the crossbow, even though I have the legendary skin itself. But I mean, the death effect isn't really something that I'm complaining too much about. It's just something that I did notice immediately. So now, finally, let's actually talk about the physical structure of the weapon. So like I said, it's kind of like in the shape of a rocket ship slash air jet or whatever the fuck it is. But it also does copy the theme of the main character that was released within the draw as well. And I will say, I mean, the whole aesthetic design, I mean, just, in terms of its physical structure is absolutely incredible. I do love the red, black, and white colors. And like I said, it matches the skin for the main draw. I mean, it's absolutely crazy good. I would go as far as to say that out of all the legendaries that were released, not counting the DLQ Mythic for this season, I would say this is probably the most aesthetically pleasing one in terms of its physical design. It's sleek, it looks nice, has the right colors and so on, but yeah. Anyways, here's the class set that I have for you guys. So like I said, the Dingo Scarlet Oracle is pretty much one of the best legendaries that I've seen in a while. Ones that is not actually like fully reactive or has any sort of kill combo stages. It's a simple legendary skin, but with a lot of good effects. And I would say structurally, it looks probably better than most of the legendary skins that were released. And like I said, let's not count the DLQ Mythic because that's a completely different, thing. For me personally, I'm just going to say this right now, I think it was actually a pretty smart idea for them to release this at the very end of the season, given that we're a few days away from the Season 2 update, as well as just Season 2 in general, because, like I said, the Dingo is actually getting a range buff, like a massive range buff that it definitely needed. So it still gives players a chance to try out the buff and see for themselves whether or not they actually want to pick up the Dingo Legendary. Because with these legendary skins and draws, they typically last around like 2 or 3 weeks. So you still have like plenty of time to decide whether or not you're willing to pick this up. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.